Most law firm owners are either overthinking YouTube or completely avoiding it. The YouTube Accelerator in Chicago is going to fix that. This 2-day event on June 11th and 12th is built specifically for law firm owners who are ready to take YouTube seriously. You'll hear directly from guest experts like Jeff Hampton and Ryan Weber, and we're covering the full YouTube growth stack. Niche and content pillars, topic ideation and messaging, hooks and intros, thumbnails and titles, recording strategy, editing, channel positioning, and the growth systems that actually drive results. You'll walk away with a real plan you can execute. Get the full event details and grab your seat at maxlawevents.com.
This is Maximum Lawyer with your host, Tyson Mutrux.
Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer podcast. Today's episode is another session straight from the MaxLawCon 2025 stage. This talk comes from Ruma Mazumdar, founder of Key Esquire. Ruma shares what happens when you grow fast, build a bigger team, hit revenue milestones, and still end up burned out, frustrated, and ready to walk away. She breaks down the real messy middle of years 3 through 7, what she learned after realizing her firm was running at a 2% profit margin, and how she rebuilt a business that actually felt good to run. This is Ruma Mazumdar's MaxLawCon session, the virtual scale blueprint, from solo attorney to CEO.
A couple months ago, at the top of this year, I wanted to quit. I wanted to shut it down, walk away. I was burned out, I was frustrated, and I'd had it. But yeah, I'm Ruma. I'm the founder of Key Esquire, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to build a business that you don't grow to hate one day. Like divine timing, Alex Hormozi dropped into my inbox, and at that time, because of my headspace, I was like, I've got a minute for him. So his newsletter promises value in under a minute, so I was like, I'm going to read this. Biggest risk in business. The greatest risk to any business is that the founder doesn't want to do it anymore. You just got to want it more than you hate what it takes to get it. No one talks about the biggest risk to your company, you falling out of love with it. When a founder loses their love, the business is as good as dead. So here's my most important rule. Don't hate your business, prioritize removing anything or anyone you hate, and then worry about the rest. And then he continues and he drops a stat. So, the middle part, yes, years 3 through 7, that's where most founders quit. That stopped me in my tracks. I started in 2021. 2022, 2023, 2024, 25. I was in year 4. I was at statistics almost. So I stepped back and I was like, did I build a business that I actually hate? I left corporate, big law, and I built myself another cage with my name on it. So, what are we going to talk about today? What I hope you get from this. I'm not going to sit here and give you my roadmap to scaling to 7 figures and the highlight reel of that. I'm not going to give you how to hire 10 people and then ghost your business. I'm going to talk about the reality of my 4-year arc of the highs and the lows of scaling and growing and stepping into my shoes, into the CEO shoes. And then I invite you to think about what is scaling and being a CEO actually mean to you. I learned that being a CEO is not just about the title. Just because you opened up your firm, you hung your shingle, and you started practicing. It's about creating leverage for yourself, building a business that gives you the freedom and the lifestyle that you want. Scaling isn't just about headcount and adding people so that you can say you've got this major team, right? It's about more choice, more freedom, more breathing room to do what you set out to do when you started your own practice. All right, so let's back up a little bit. I launched in late 2021, and within 3 months, I had to hire my first employee. Within 8 months in 2022, I had replaced my big law salary and earned 6 figures. In 2023, I was adding more people. I added a new team member, full-time and part-time every year. I was earning multiple 6 figures. I thought I was doing great. And then we get to this year, and I really thought I'd made it. I had a paralegal, I had a fractional COO, a legal assistant, a marketing specialist, an intake person, an executive assistant, and I even had an attorney. I thought I was working a couple hours in the business, so I thought. I was traveling the world. I probably took like 30 days off, and I really thought I made it. And then I had a meeting with my bookkeeper, CFO, the third week of January to go through our final numbers for the year, for 2024. To look at this whole big corporation I'd built, this whole big team that I was supporting, this life that I was living. So she's taking me through our revenue, which was great. She was taking me through expenses, obviously very high with a high head count, all of the licenses, software, and the things you have to pay for when you hire people and grow. And then she showed me the bottom line, the profit. 2%. 2%. Where did all of my revenue go? Turns out 60% of my revenue went to just salaries and the people. But was I doing what I needed to do as far as making sure the firm was healthy, that I could support my team in an emergency or a bad market turn if I ever lost clients? So it was time to make some hard decisions. So I had to take back the control of my firm. In March, I talked to my COO and said, I don't think you're doing what I had hired you to do, and I let them go. In April, I let go of my paralegal, who was like a really good worker, but couldn't delegate. So assistants would come and go, and I couldn't tell why until I really looked under the hood. I let go of the marketing assistant and the intake person and my executive assistant by July. And then in August, I parted ways with the attorney. What I was learning was that clients were unhappy, my referral partners were unhappy, the people that I had hired to meet my vision just weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And I was frustrated. I was like, where did I go wrong? How did this happen? And cleaned house, left my favorite employee, and I went back to the basics with her. So during this time, I was obviously very blue. I've been in coaching programs, I've always had the resources, but I didn't have a true tactical or any sort of plan about what I was gonna do. As I started looking under the hood and seeing what all the problems were, I was obviously scared to let go of all these people. I had hired them, their families depended on me, but I knew there was more to running my business, and I had to make some hard decisions. So I came up with this framework so that I wouldn't be so sad. So the first one I have here is, my notes aren't lining up with the slides. Can you just go back? Yeah. So we start with B, build lean, right? Start with the team. I hired and I abdicated. I realized I didn't delegate, I abdicated. That's why it all came to a head. What I should have done is bring in one person, layer them in, integrate them fully, and make sure that I wasn't overhiring. And make sure I was integrating technology and AI to cut the busy work, that a lot of what was happening, right? And lean isn't small thinking, it's setting up a foundation for the growth to happen. It's looking to see that everyone is working towards the vision that you've built for yourself. So I went back to the basics with my legal assistant. I started creating looms on everything that wasn't legal work so I could automate myself out of it. Once she got the loom, she would complete that task, and if it was at 100%, I knew the loom was good, and we could create an SOP out of it. So the next time I decided to hire someone, we had something to train them with, so I wasn't just abdicating at that point. Building lean really forced me to be honest with what actually mattered, clarity before growth. Okay. Next one. We are leading with numbers, so obviously that meeting with my CFO bookkeeper was eye-opening. Your numbers tell the truth even when you don't want to look at it, right? Scaling without knowing your numbers, you're going backwards. You have to know your margins. You have to know how much each client costs. You have to know how much your files cost. You have to know how much it has to have all the staff that work on your matters. If you're making more revenue but taking less home, you're obviously going backwards. And the other thing I looked into was knowing the cost of my mistakes. And it wasn't because I wasn't going to fail again. We all fail. We continue to fail forward and fail fast. But I just didn't want to make that same mistake again. Sorry, can you go back to the other slide? Okay. And then the other numbers I looked at was my time and my energy. I had mentioned I was only working a couple hours in the business. As business owners, we always think it's just 5 minutes this, 5 minutes that, but I started tracking and auditing my time. And I learned that I was spending over 30 to 40 hours a week in the client work. All of the people I had hired to get me out of it, I had no idea what they were doing. So I started looking at where was I spending my time. Part of me, I was the problem, right? I wasn't fully letting go. And I learned that I needed to manage my energy better too, right? 3 to 4 hours of focus time is way better than 8 mediocre hours. And so I tracked every dollar, I tracked every minute, and I got back on track. And then I looked at how are we getting paid? So profit funds freedom. Raising your fee isn't just about revenue. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that can hold a higher standard, serve better clients, set firmer boundaries. For a really long time, I was afraid to raise my fees because of the stories that I was telling myself. The market wasn't going to support it. My competitors were charging so low. It was a race to the bottom. I had my firm for 4 years. I don't have the experience or the expertise to be charging what people that had been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years were doing. But that was just a story I was telling myself. I knew that if I was going to get back into the work, I had to charge my worth, right? So I started raising my fees slowly with every new intake that came in until I got to a point where 60% of the calls were saying no because my price was too high. I kind of figured that out in like a few weeks, what my sweet spot was, and I was actually able to raise my fees 50%. So I was leaving so much on the table for so long. I went back and I also decided to talk to my referral partners, let them know I'd made a mistake in just growing and scaling too fast, that I was going to be back in the business, working with the clients, taking care of the people they were sending over to me. And so my best referral partners stayed. My clients got better. My profit went up, and I was able to invest more into the business. And finally, we go back to the why of it all, right? Engineering, alignment, and evolution. So this was the real secret for me. Building systems that fit your life is a part of it. Defining what freedom looks like to you is also super important. Becoming a CEO isn't just operational, it's also personal. You have to become the person who can receive your ultimate desires, whether it's a lifestyle firm, a 9-figure firm, whatever it is. So for me, it wasn't just about delegating the work and getting out of it. It was about becoming the kind of person who could have a vision, translate that vision to my team members, and who could set firmer boundaries and design a business that really felt good for me to run, not one that I was trying to run away from. So, your business can't outgrow your capacity to receive what you say you want. As you grow, your business will grow too. And it's the alignment that allows you to get to the next level. And you have to remember your personality in there too, right? You started your own firm because you didn't want to be maybe in the corporate cog. So I really leaned on that and started thinking about like what sets me apart, even from the competitors I thought I couldn't compete with. While I was going through this blue framework, there was a couple of things that I guess, kept coming up for me, some themes that showed up. Big one, of course, was self-worth. I was really tying my self-worth to my numbers. I would hit a revenue goal, and then I would feel valuable. If I didn't hit a revenue goal, I didn't feel valuable. When I got that 2% profit figure at the beginning of the year, I felt like a failure, not just as a business owner, but as a person too. And then I was like, the next theme that kept coming up was validation. I was seeking external validation. I realized I was chasing recognition from clients, from peers, from my family, my friends. Oh, look at my business, look at my team, right? Because of that, the industry awards, all of that made me feel good, the external validation. If they saw it, that means I've made it, right? But that only lasts for 5 minutes, and then you feel empty again. And then also, what conditioning from the past was I holding on to? If I work hard, I achieve, and that's what makes everyone else around me happy. But what did it ultimately do for me? It just trapped me into a cage that I originally was trying to escape from. All of this to say, the messy middle is where we're at, and you're not alone, right? So many of us go through that between years 3 to 7, maybe even after that, maybe even before that. But it's also where the magic starts to happen if you decide you're going to stop, pause, look at what's going on, and redesign. One of my phrases, or one of these phrases that always comes up in coaching and in reading and whatnot, new levels, new devils. At every level of revenue or team growth or company growth, you're going to have a new devil to face. The CEO that gets you to one level isn't going to be the same one that gets you to the next level. And that's something that I had to kind of shift my identity through as well. So, before you add another hire and get another client, add another practice area, ask yourself, what does scale mean to me? What does being the CEO of your business and your life really look like? Hopefully you heard something today that you needed to hear. As my business coach always says, it's what's caught, not taught. I have a favor to ask. If all of you can pull out your phone, scan that QR code, follow me on Instagram, send me a DM about what you caught. Keep the conversation going. Let me know how the messy middle is for you. Another thing I'm doing right now is talking about the 12 lessons I've learned in building my law firm the last 4 years in this messy middle, the mistakes I've made, and everything in between. Because you don't have to quit. You shouldn't quit. You just have to build something that makes you want to stay. Thanks, everyone.
Before you go, quick shout out to Becca's List. If you've ever hired a vendor for your law firm and immediately thought, yeah, that wasn't it, this exists for you. Becca's List is a curated list of companies that work with law firm owners. No paid placements, no random recommendations, just real reviews from law firm owners who have already learned the hard way. If you want to see what's working for other firms and help us grow Becca's List to the largest place for law firms to find trusted answers, head to beccaslist.co and leave your first review today.